difficulties with I wasn't able to upload and go live. And I started to I started to go live from my phone because my connectivity was still going, but I just went ahead and decided to wait. And they I got the phone call that letting me know that it was okay for me to go up, and I still had a little bit of troubles. So, um, for those of you who watched the verses last night, I hope you enjoyed yourself. It was a Holy Ghost good time. I was having my own little praise party. Um, as I said before, Friday night at midnight when I was doing my dedication to the artist in the verses, I've known about BB and CC Winans since I was in high school, and I graduated in '85. So they have been around since the '80s. They were a integral part of the PTL program. You've heard about the PTL scandals. You've heard about Jim and Tammy Faye. Well, BB and CC were kind of like the first Black people, Black singers to be featured prominently on there. They had people of, as far as people who were already established in ministry, and then once all of that broke out or whatever, they wound up going ahead and having musical careers of their own in their own right. But where we first saw them was on PTL. And I remember my grandmother was in love with the song Lord Lift Us Up Where We Belong. You couldn't tell her that there was a Black woman on the earth that could sing better than CeCe Winans except Mahalia Jackson. She just really loved CeCe Winans. And so, and I give her credit for having good taste because I became a fan of BB and CC once they decided to have a solo career. And many of the songs that they were playing last night were songs that were out when I first got saved at one of a local full gospel church here in Columbus, Ohio. They no longer The church itself no longer exists, but I wound up getting saved, and when I got saved there, their music, them, Yolanda Adams, and Commissioned, which is Fred Hammond, Keith Staten, and Marvin Sapp's old group, were around at the time. And so they were kind of spearheads of the whole contemporary Christian gospel um, movement. And they may be a movement that I go into when I start, since we're getting into April and going into May, before we get into June, which will be Black Music Month and Juneteenth. I still am, even though we have a recognized date for Juneteenth, I still will be celebrating it the entire month of June. So it would be 31 days of Juneteenth and everything, which I always like to do because it keeps me up on my little post game and, gives me the ability to create content. Um, so for June, I will be doing 31 days of Juneteenth, which will involve not just Black history, but also Black Music Month. So, celebrating all of the accomplishments of Black musicians and the different Black musical movements that have graced us. So, um, this Friday night at midnight, I went ahead and, so this Friday night will be basically is the regular scheduled Eclectic Music Geek podcast. So basically, you're getting 3 weeks of Eclectic Music Geek for, because of the whole versus thing, because I was like, I didn't want to let this past Sunday go without doing a broadcast for them. Um, like I said, I've been a fan of theirs since me and my grandmother, pretty much. have been fans of BB and CC's since the 80s, and then I became a fan of the Winans, which is their older brothers, um, in the 90s. And so the late 80s, early 90s, that gave us their older brothers. So they're basically, the whole family is very musical, um, almost almost the gospel version of the Jackson family, where the entire family has musical ambitions. I've been a fan of Mary Mary since probably around the, I would say, late 80s, um, early 90s, more likely the 90s. Um, and so it felt good to sing everybody's songs, because many of those songs, as I said before, a song does not necessarily have to be uh, a gospel or necessarily a Christian song to minister to you. But if you are a born again Christian, it does help to hear a song that is from an artist that has a relationship with Jesus Christ, because then you can get the full Monty of that ministry. So we've had a couple of deaths this week already, which I'm like, it is relatively heartbreaking to hear that someone has transitioned, especially if it was unexpected. Okay. So, hip hop pioneer DJ K Slay um, is dead after a battle with COVID. So, like I said before, if a person knows Christ and they transition, then they're in a better place, especially if we're talking about someone who's had to deal with a long term illness like cancer or anything like that. Then we know that the battle really is won on the other side, because they are now in heaven, provided they knew Christ. You're going to spend eternity somewhere. That's something that you have to be mindful of. And so DJ K Slay, whose real name was Keith Grayson, died Sunday after battling COVID for months. His family and Hot 97 confirmed in statements. Now, this is courtesy of People Magazine. So he was a pioneer hip hop icon. He's a disc jockey and record executive whose real name was, like I said, Keith Grayson. He passed away Sunday evening after a 4-month battle with COVID. 4 months is a long time. I mean, this COVID ain't no joke. And I remember when they first started talking about this back in 2020. And I was seeing all these Asian people walking around with stuff on their faces and this, that, and the other. And I was like, I don't know, y'all. I don't think we need to sleep on this COVID. And I have yet to be wrong. There are people who are saying you should not get the vaccine, that it's a lie of the enemy. I don't believe that. If anything, I believe just the opposite, because too many people are making these prophecies, and they keep winding up with the disease, with the illness, and wind up dying. Okay, well, I would think that if you are being told by God not to mess with it, then you should be being kept. And why are there so many of you that are not getting the vaccine and winding up with COVID? I told you, I'm not the one to play with on stuff like that. Don't tell me that you have a word from the Lord and I look up in your and it attacks you. And so now you have people who are saying, well, it's not protecting everybody. Well, the vaccine lessens your chance of getting it. It doesn't completely wipe it out. And they said that giving it to us. So I would rather take my chances on having the vaccine, especially with diabetes too. I would rather take my chances on having the vaccine and possibly getting it anyway than I would not taking the precaution and possibly dying. And this is a 4-month battle, so this is horrible. The news of his death was confirmed in statements obtained by people from Hot 97 and his family. So, a few prominent people in the hip hop world that I follow on social media, this was kind of confirmed by their posting. So it says there, our hearts are broken by the path by the person professionally known as DJ K Slay. Said a dominant figure in hip hop culture with millions of fans worldwide. K Slay will be remembered for his passion and excellence. So I'm a little late to the party on him. Um, I have to say that he's one that I haven't heard of. I'm not going to read this whole thing because I do plan on including him. So I will be dedicating a portion of music, eclectic music geek, um, to him. Also, a member of High Five has passed. So let me look here. Mm-mm-mm-mm. So Roderick Pooh Clark of High Five has passed away. So it says here, let's see, this is USA to the USA Day News. Roderick Pooh Clark's cause of death is still a mystery. So this is courtesy of USA Today, not USA Today, but USA News. So it says we are heartbroken to report that Roderick Pooh Clark, an original member of the R&B group High Five, sadly passed away April 17th. Many fans are searching for Roderick's cause of death after his family confirmed the sad news. He was transitioned to his heavenly home um, on Easter Sunday. His death is a big shock to fans, which happened at his 40 at the age of 49. In 1993, while the group was traveling on I-95 to do a radio show, they were involved in a car accident that left Clark paralyzed from the chest down. And so we will be dedicating a portion of Friday night show to Mr. Clark. I was a fan of High Five back in the day when they had Kissing Game and She's Playing Hard to Get and all of the other musical attributes that they had out. So let me see here. What else is going on in the news? Al Roker is bracing his family for a big life change. This is courtesy of pop culture. Okay, so their youngest child is going off to college. So that's the big news. Congratulations to the Rokers. I had one graduate from college. I had a child graduate from college, and it is a very wonderful thing when your children decide to go ahead and go into higher education. Let me see here. Okay, it says Standy Newton separates from husband of 24 years and heads to rehab after being fired from Magic Mike. So it's rumored that she was fired from Magic Mike because of an argument she and Channing Tatum had over the whole Will Smith thing. I'm telling you right now, this this hit has been more. No single act has been more diagnosed has caused the person's marriage to be diagnosed and dissected, and it's going into what, 3 weeks now, and people are still wanting to talk about it. It's starting to die down a little bit, which I'm glad of. Um, I'm one of those people. I'm Team Jesus. I just want to see these two kind of make peace if it's possible over this whole incident. I'm not writing Will Smith off over, like, this is a man who's had a pretty good image, pretty good clean image, um as far as what anybody, because usually when it's us, people will find dirt everywhere. So both him and Chris Rock, I have to say, even though Chris Rock was more blue humor when it came to his comedy, both of them had pretty both of them had reputations for having pretty clean images. One thing I can say for them that I always thought was pretty cool was the fact that when you hear about them, you're usually hearing about a project that they're working on or something like that. You don't hear too much. They are not the type of celebrities that's personal business, that where you hear more about their personal tragedies than you hear about what they're actually doing as far as their work. Usually it's whatever work they're doing that keeps them in the headlines and not their personal lives, which I think is a pretty cool thing. I like that we still have celebrities like that, because unfortunately many people are getting to the place where they're starting to be as infamous for their private lives as they are for anything else. So there now is a also, let me see, there is going to be a new documentary of about the Stainer brothers that will be on. When is this going to be on? Let me look here. Mm-mm-mm-mm. So this is news from my true. So the Stainer brothers are Carrie and Steven Stainer. And let me see, their documentary is called Captive Audience, and it is going to be on Hulu. And it's supposed to start streaming um, April 21st. So let me see. That is 3 days from now. That's going to be this Thursday. So I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna look at it. So let me see here.